parity. So it's a completely fair system within the economy. So that system was sold to Cantor Fitzgerald, who moved the technology to the top floor of the World Trade Towers 3 months before the crash. That's how I know what was going on in the World Trade Towers.
Stay there. We're about to go live. We'll finish that story. Here we go.
Is very precise. This is a very complicated problem, and we cannot fix it without some international rules.
Notably absent from the summit's final statement, any detailed plan to help troubled homeowners or struggling workers in the developing world. That wasn't expected, but with economists projecting a global recession that could last upwards of 2 years, one might be justified in asking whether these leaders really feel the urgency of the situation. Rosalind Orton, Al Jazeera, Washington.
Well, let's get a European perspective on all of that. Max Kaiser is a financial commentator based in Paris and joins us live. Max, positive words there from the world leaders. Will the financial markets be cheering on Monday morning?
No, Bush misspoke. He said that the world's economies were hit hard. That's not true. The world's counterfeiting schemes were hit hard. The bond counterfeiting schemes from Wall Street and the City of London were hit hard. The counterfeiting schemes have been exposed. And the problem is that these G20 nations are not willing to get rid of the scoundrels and the criminals who are running the banks and putting in fraudulent, faulty economy. Somebody should issue a fatwa against Hank Paulson. Someone should issue a fatwa against Hank Paulson because he's an infidel. This is the Constitution of the United States. He's not obeying the spirit of the Constitution. He's issuing counterfeit money, counterfeit bonds. That's why the global economy is in such a sad shape. The man is a financial terrorist.
The hyperbole aside.
I mean, that's the reality of the situation. That's not the hyperbole. That's not the hyperbole.
Well, I'm sure
that's not the hyperbole. That's the reality of the situation.
So the solution is what?
Counterfeit.
The solution is what?
You have to go into a court of law and take Hank Paulson and Goldman Sachs up for financial terrorism, put them in jail. This is counterfeiting. They're issuing bonds that are absolutely non-collateralized. There's $500 trillion with no collateral.
That may be one response to Hank Paulson, but as far as the international global economy is concerned, we have matters like, should the IMF be reformed? Should countries like China and India have a bigger say in regulation and moderation of the global markets? Did any of these get addressed, and are these the way forward?
China, India, Europe, all the banks own structured financial products sold to them from Wall Street. These are all counterfeit bonds that are exploding. They're worth zero. For example, they have no way of selling these bonds because they have zero value. As a result, they dump oil. And oil, because they're dumping oil to pay for these fraudulent bonds, the price of oil has dropped, and these developing nations are suffering because of this counterfeiting scheme that has zero value. Bush is completely incorrect when he says the global economy is suffering. It's the global counterfeiting scheme that's suffering. These guys are criminals. There should be a fatwa against these guys. He's an infidel. Hank Paulson, his head should be bouncing down the Capitol steps.
Max Kaiser, I'm
sorry, but that's the reality of the situation.
Big Brother, mainstream media, government cover-ups. You want answers? Well, so does he. He's Alex Jones on the GCN Radio Network. And now, live from Austin, Texas, Alex Jones.
Well, he was speaking, I guess, to the Arabic audience there, though it's big worldwide, talking about fatwas. But no, Ron Paul said here about a month and a half ago they should all be arrested. They are criminals, but they know that they're doing it out in the open, too big to fail, too big to be criminals. Well, either they fall or we fall. Max Kaiser, I hadn't seen that clip. I just knew you'd sent it, and so I'd sent it on to the network. Actually, my producer had. Now I know why you wanted it played. That is some powerful stuff. You know, when I go on Al Jazeera or Press TV or BBC or Russia Today, I thought I was getting hardcore on these channels. My God, Max Kaiser's like the gold standard of in-the-face, telling the truth, boldness. I'm actually being put to shame here. You mean, I wonder if they'll let me get that wild on there.
Well, I want you on the Oracle, Alex.
Well, I guess you and Alec Baldwin are the producers of it. You think nobody will get upset if I go on there yelling and screaming, or is this going to be live?
This show is going to rip the ball, the cover off the ball. This is going to be the most watched television show in the world. We're going to have 100 million viewers. It goes out to 180 million households. Half-hour show every Friday night. So we're going to be talking about all the global banking conspiracies and everything else that people are dying to know about, but they're not being told because the mainstream press, even Al Jazeera, is too timid.
So Alec Baldwin is into all this stuff.
Yeah, he's my co-producer. I've known him for 30 years, and we've been friends for a long, long time. And we're going to have a blast. He's going to be a guest. He's got his friends are going to be guests. We got a satellite hookup. November 28th, we're hopefully going to get the first show on the air on BBC World.
Well, hey, count me in. You just have the producers or the people doing the legwork tell me where to be, what satellite feed, and if you can't even get a satellite feed in Austin, which I'm sure you'll be able to. It was hard on election day for some other stations I was on. I'll go wherever I need to be on that.
Yeah, that's cool. I mean, the use of the word fatwa, for example, all that means is edict or fiat.
No, I understand. I'm saying arrest them. Yeah.
Okay, but let me just say
guilty. Go ahead.
Hank Paulson and Ben Bernanke issue a fatwa every day. It's called the U.S. dollar by fiat. The U.S. dollar only has value by Hank Paulson and Ben Bernanke's fatwa.
By the way, you're right about the stock market going down. It's down 85 points today. How far is it going to go down by next February?
Well, it's going to go a lot lower, the stock market, because earnings for these companies are going to collapse. Obviously, the unemployment is skyrocketing. Citibank just announced 50,000 layoffs. The auto industry is going to collapse. I'm not in favor of bailing out the auto industry. I think it's a farce. Unemployment is going to go to 10, 11, 12% at a minimum. And, the earnings are going to collapse. So these companies are going to trade down. The average yield in a bear market gets to 6 or 7%, which means you're talking 3,000 on the Dow Jones.
Doesn't look good. I want to jam in a few calls. The interview's almost